Welcome back to The Inspired Entrepreneur with Heather Hope. Hey guys, welcome back. This is Heather Hope with the Inspired Entrepreneur podcast. So today is Monday. Happy Monday, November 2nd, 2020. I hope you're doing well. I hope you had a very fun and festive and safe weekend. Let me know where you're listening to this from. Hopefully that made sense. So I can't talk. Today is a long one. November 2nd. There's several paragraphs to this one. I'm going to jump in and see what it says. I have not read it. I've read only like the first line. This comes from my book, The Inspired Entrepreneur. Of course, I've read it. I've written this. This is all the stuff that I've written. So I just haven't read it in a while. So this is The Inspired Entrepreneur book that you can find on Amazon soon. You can have it on your desk. You can flip to it each day and get that little bit of insight, that little bit of inspiration. So let's jump into it. You have to do it the way you really want to do it. If you follow your own guidance, you will succeed so much faster than if you take the advice of others. Your guidance is telling you how to do the things to get to where you want to go. It's all personalized, right? Everyone is following each other and getting mediocre results, if that. Like the blind leading, not really the blind leading the blind, but sometimes it is that way. Only follow it if it excites you. There's absolutely no problem in getting expert advice in your business if you're excited and you resonate with the person, because you are being lined up with that person perfectly by the universe. But if you're doing it from a place of uncertainty, doubt, desperateness, don't do it. Only do it when it excites you. So often, okay, let me tell you my example. One example that comes to my mind. Okay, so in this world of online business, let me know what kind of business you have. But in the online business world, online coaches, whatever you want to call it, one of the biggest things is create a course and sell it. Create a course and sell it. Create a course and sell it. Oh my gosh, everybody's creating courses, blah, blah, blah. Well, I've gone down that route, and let me tell you how I feel about it. I don't like it. I just don't like it. So I tried it for a while. For years, I've tried creating courses. I have courses, but I don't really like selling them. And when I do sell them, the results have been very mediocre, and it's unsatisfying to me. So I don't like doing things that, like, if I put a lot of time and effort into something and people actually don't consume the material, they may buy the thing, but they don't consume the information. I'm like, what's the point? I'm not here to just sell stuff that people don't use. Like, that doesn't satisfy me. That doesn't excite me. Does that make sense? I'm not doing everything for the money. Like, the money is wonderful, but it's like if nobody's opening up the course materials, or this is really common, and it is an issue in a lot of course creators, a lot of coaches get burned out because people don't take action. I see it all the time now. I do. So there's this one guy that I follow, I used to, went down the rabbit hole with his stuff, but he stopped because he works with high net worth people, entrepreneurs, business owners. And so his services are up there in price. And some people would say, well, he wrote a book, but some people would say, you should create a course. And he's like, I have created courses. I used to sell courses. But because I realized at least 80% of the people never opened up the stuff or took any action with it, I stopped selling them. How ethical is that? You know what I mean? Like, how freaking amazing. Like, anybody who does that, I just feel is like really just full of morals, full of ethics, full of whatever you want to call it, because integrity, it's just not satisfying. It's not satisfying to sell things that people don't open. It just doesn't excite me. It's like, what am I doing? You know what I mean? Like, because you put your heart and soul and time and energy into something, and if people don't use it, it's like, it's it's a it it's a it's a certain feeling of like, what is the point of me doing this? I could be doing something else. Um, so there you go. Anyway, so um but that comes from the advice from so many people, like, okay, create a course. Some people are very successful in courses, but a lot of people are not successful in selling courses. It's not necessarily the best way, to teach sometimes, or if somebody doesn't know how to create one or sell them or whatever. I don't know what the issue is, depending on the person. But so this is why you have to find stuff. I love the creativity of having a business, or especially having an online business, because you can, if you create things in a different way, it could be more exciting, could be more interesting. It could excite your potential customers or clients to do something differently. But I never really liked following the crowd. I like doing things my own way, because I just find more enjoyment. So let me go through this again. You have to do it the way you really want to do it. So if you have a certain way that you want to do it, but say you're working with a coach. I work with people who work with other coaches. So because it just, they need extra support and something. But sometimes coaches will say, do it this way. And then a lot of people like what I say, and like, was that what you really want to do? Because if it's not going to work. If you don't want to do something, like, people have come to me numerous times and said, a coach that I work with currently is telling me, like, totally telling me to do it this way, and I just don't like it that way. And I'm like, don't do it. And they like getting the permission of not doing it that way. Like, because some people are very salesy, and typically the people that I attract are not salesy people. They're like, that's gross. Because it's just gross. So, but, to be high pressure sales, basically. High pressure, being very, oh gosh, I've seen some doozy of people. But you have to do it the way you really want to do it. And then the way you want to do it, you'll attract, like, if you need help, if you need some answers, you'll attract the answers. You'll attract somebody with the answer. And then you get to decide, do I want to work with another person or not? Or do I need to or not? Do they have a whole system that I want to jump into or not? Is it just that one little piece of information? It just, So one thing that I never really thought was working with a coach for a long period of time. I never really got into that. I worked with a coach for a while, and she was doing like 1 year contracts and 1 year everything. And I realized pretty quickly, because I do the work. I do the work every day that to make myself, go forward in life and everything. And that I cannot possibly resonate with the same person for a year. Like, for me, that's a long time to resonate with somebody. That's a long time, because she's constantly changing. I'm constantly changing. Her message can change on a dime. Mine can, my beliefs, all that stuff. So, that was one thing that, like, I never really totally got on board with having long-term contracts with, like, especially private clients. And most of, I would actually prefer to work short-term with people, like, especially private. I would prefer to work short-term, because we all change. We change quickly. A lot of times we change quickly. And, so anyway. So follow things that excite you, basically. But if you're following people's advice with doubt and uncertainty, it's occasionally things will work. Occasionally I do see people succeed, even though they totally didn't believe that, or if they didn't want to do it or whatever. Sometimes they do, because most of the time I think it's mostly because they put a lot of effort into it. And you can work really hard and work really long hours to succeed. A lot of people do it. Most people who succeed probably do it that way. But you're putting a lot more work and effort into it than if you just followed the excitement and you're like, wow, that just came to me really quickly. I'm more on that side of things of doing things that really excite me and that come to my mind to do in that moment. Like yesterday I thought it was pretty funny because I just a bunch of ideas came to my mind yesterday out of the blue. Wasn't thinking about any of this before, or one thing I was, but most of the things I wasn't thinking much about at all. And things just kept flowing in my mind, especially like in the shower or when I was doing who knows what else. And I would like tell my husband some stuff and he's like, okay, cool. And I'm like, it's random. And he's like, yeah. Like, it's just totally random, but I'm just going to go with it because it came to my mind. And I said, most things that come to my mind, if I follow them through or act on them, that's how I manifest things that I want. Remember, I've been talking about that of like just thoughts, just simple, ordinary thoughts that pop into my mind. If I act on them, just carry them through, most often it leads to something that I've been wanting. So I know to just act on the thoughts that come into my mind. If I'm able to, I do them. Big or small, but it doesn't matter. Most of the time they're small. Most of the time they're just a simple, ordinary thought. and it pops in my mind at some random time, which is perfect, right? I'm like, okay, it's not exciting. Like none of the thoughts I get, well, I mean, I get a lot of exciting thoughts, but all the things that I've manifested that were most important to me, house, husband, dog, numerous things. Houses, 3 different houses now I've manifested easily through the simplest thought in the world that pops in my head to do the next logical step, right? Poof, there it is. It's like if I do it, it's almost on autopilot to do it, if that makes sense. It's like the next logical step means you barely even notice that you're doing it. That's how logical it is. That's how it is the next step. I think so many people get confused with that of like, yeah, I had a client once that was like, I'm going to make $100,000 a month. And I'm like, cool. How much have you been making? Nothing. I'm like, does that feel like the next logical step? And they said yes. And I'm thinking back in my mind, I'm like, it can't be the next logical step. If you haven't made any money yet and you feel like you're going to make, or you say that you want to make $100,000 this next month, it feels like a stretch. And this is where I think a lot of people go wrong with other coaches. My coach or my old coach. I don't have a current coach, I don't think. Do I? Well, in my new field, I am. This other business I'm doing, I have a mentor. But it's like thinking, it's a lot of work. It's like a quantum jumping type of thing. It's a lot of stretching, a lot of work of resonate. You can resonate at a certain level financially. When I focus on certain numbers like income and what it feels like and how my life would be, if I do that work, I will resonate. Like certain people will pop out of nowhere because it's just energy and be in my field here, my field of vision, my feed on Facebook or something out of the blue because I know that person makes that much money. And it's like, I hadn't thought about you in months, but here you are after I've been resonating for a couple of days at that. It's really quite fascinating, but it's more work than the average person really wants to do. Abraham says quantum jumping is kind of painful. It's a lot of work and it's a lot to maintain, to jump to a whole nother level that you haven't been to before. Does that make sense at all? I've worked with this for a while. I did this last year for a while, and it was hard to maintain. I don't know if that makes sense to anyone, but for me, it was just too much work. It was so much work to maintain a certain vibration at a certain level to resonate with a certain income goal that I had. It was, I'd rather have it more logical, next logical step for real. Like you're not even thinking so much about it. I think so many people are saying yes when they don't mean it at all and they don't know that they don't mean it. So, anyway, I'm going to let you go for now. Have an amazing rest of rest. Can't talk now. See, that's why we got to go. Have an amazing rest of your day, and I will talk to you again tomorrow. Bye, guys.